Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Michael Porter Jr. is a decisive and prolific goal scorer, and the Warriors are interested in signing him, even though he comes at a high cost. The Warriors sit near the bottom of the league in offensive efficiency, and with Curry sidelined, their scoring issues look even more exposed. The offense has struggled to create advantages, generate easy shots and keep pace when Curry sits. That is where Porter enters the conversation. Porter is averaging 24.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 3.0 assists in his first stretch with Brooklyn, reminding the league why his combination of size and shot-making can flip games. He was an ultra-efficient finisher next to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in Denver, and despite carrying a bigger workload with the Nets, his numbers remain strong. For Golden State, Porter checks several boxes. Elite floor spacing. High-volume shot creation. Quick decision-making. Scoring consistency the roster currently lacks. As Buckley pointed out, Porter's contract expires in 2027, the same offseason Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green come off the books. Golden State could theoretically take the short-term financial hit and reassess later. And unlike Kuminga, Porter does not need a featured developmental role. He fits more seamlessly into a Curry-led system designed around quick reads, perimeter gravity and smart spacing. Warriors floated in blockbuster trade idea for scoring upgrade. Buckley's mock deal sends Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, a top 4 protected 2026 first-round pick and a 2028 first-round pick swap to the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for Michael Porter Jr. From Golden State's perspective, the appeal is obvious. Porter is a ready-made scoring punch. He is averaging more than 24 points per game in Brooklyn while taking on a featured role and hitting shots at scale. His size and quick-release jumper give him instant plug-and-play value in a system that desperately needs someone who can punish defenses for overloading on Curry. Draymond Green is still the heart and soul of the Warriors after all these years. Whatever might be said about Draymond, the numbers bear out his importance to this team. As the Golden State Warriors have attempted to find their footing, having scrawled out a 10-9 record through the first month of the season, the viability of their veteran core has been under severe scrutiny from both fans and the national media. Yet, apart from the star power of Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler, it is clear that Draymond Green, insofar as he provides a staunch defensive presence on the interior, still has a majorly important role to play in this team's success. According to Howard Beck on the latest episode of The Zach Lowe Show, Green's impact on the Warriors' net rating is simultaneously remarkable and somewhat concerning. There's an 18.5-point swing with Draymond on the court versus off, per 100 possessions. Despite bringing in 72-year-old Al Horford and trying to lean more on Quinton Post, they're just still very unsettled at center. Draymond is hugely important, but the Warriors need to do all they can to lessen his burden. Throughout his career, Green, more than almost any other player in the NBA, has taken his fair share of knocks concerning the extent to which he contributes to his team's success. Yet, anyone who has watched the Warriors in that time, or even followed the NBA on a more general level, would know just how vital Green is to the team's identity. Over the past couple seasons, however, Golden State's utter lack of rim protection has forced them to ask more of Green than he perhaps is capable of offering on a game-to-game basis. Even though Horford has been a welcome addition, Green has still had to function as the de facto big man more often than he would probably like to. Therefore, when Green is on the court, not only is he responsible for quarterbacking the team's defensive rotations but also matching up against players who potentially tower over him, relying upon his immaculate sense of timing in order to disrupt their shots. Say whatever you want about his offensive game, his minus 3.8 offensive box plus-minus this season will grant you plenty of ammo, but Green is still absolutely vital to the way that the Warriors want to win. Yet, in his 14th season in the NBA, it is unfair to ask Green to take on this physical toll over the course of an 82-game season. The team has constructed themselves in such a way that they are absolutely dependent upon his health to compete, and, just a month into the season, he is already missing time with a foot sprain. While these wild discrepancies in net rating likely will not last the whole season, it is clear that Green still has an enduring importance for this team, and Golden State must do their utmost to hone that in as productive a manner as possible as the campaign wears on. Pat Spencer will now see a legitimate role in the Warriors' rotation. Whether rightly or wrongly, the Warriors have gone into this season with a complete lack of point guard depth. Perhaps they thought the playmaking from veterans Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green would be enough, or that Brandon Podziemski would take a leap as a primary ball handler early in his third season. Either way, Golden State don't really have another legitimate point guard available to them in Curry's absence outside of Spencer. This opportunity was always going to subsequently come about at various points this season, with the understanding and history that Curry would miss time at some point during the campaign. It's therefore bizarre and perhaps simply poor management that Spencer is essentially the backup point guard despite the fact he literally wasn't signed to another two-way deal until media day last month. Spencer did impress in the last game Curry missed in Miami last week, finishing as perhaps Golden State's biggest positive with 11 points, 8 rebounds, 13 assists and as a +10 in what was a 110-96 defeat. The 29-year-old may not get the same 32 minutes of playing time given Butler and Green were also rested from that game, but he should see a consistent and regular role in the rotation while Curry remains on the sidelines. As much as there will be obvious disappointment within the team surrounding Curry's injury, there will undoubtedly be part of Spencer that is looking forward to the opportunity of a genuine role over the next few games. That's only natural for someone who's still looking to solidify themselves in the league and on the team, with a two-way contract being a precarious place for any player to be in as they search for solid footing. Spencer will be aware that he must take advantage of whatever playing time he does get, particularly with so much current uncertainty around the Warrior rotation even when Curry is available. How long is Stephen Curry out? Latest injury update on Warriors superstar point guard. Mike Waters. Main images. The Golden State Warriors can't seem to catch a break. From Jonathan Kuminga missing time due to a knee injury to Al Horford, signed by the Warriors in the offseason, making the Dubs look foolish for choosing him to replace Kevin Looney at the center position, everything that could go wrong is going wrong for Steve Kerr's club. Late in the Warriors' Wednesday night contest against the Houston Rockets, things got even worse for the franchise, as Stephen Curry went down with a quad injury toward the end of the clash. On Thursday, ESPN's Shams Charania provided the public with a recovery timeline for the 37-year-old superstar. How long is Stephen Curry out? While Charania noted that Curry won't be able to play immediately following his setback, he made it clear that the four-time NBA champion dodged a bullet by only being slated to miss a brief period. The Golden State Warriors anticipate Stephen Curry will miss around a week or a little more with a quad contusion suffered Wednesday night, Charania stated on X/Twitter. He's believed to have avoided any serious issue. Return will depend on how quad responds to treatment. While Curry struggled against the Rockets, 14 points on 30.8% field goal shooting and 22.8% three-point shooting, on Wednesday before the unfortunate injury occurred, the Davidson product has been the organization's most reliable offensive contributor thus far. Curry is averaging 27.9 points per game while connecting on 47.1% of his field goals and 39.1% of his triples. Fortunately, it sounds like Curry will get to continue his hot start to the season sooner than many likely expected. Warriors not interested in trading for Kings All-Star Domantas Sabonis. The Golden State Warriors are not interested in trading for Sacramento Kings center Domantas Sabonis, per Brett Siegel. Much like with Mavericks star Anthony Davis, the CBA has extremely limited the Warriors' ability to build a trade for a player with a sizable salary. Sabonis' $42,336,000 salary would require the Dubs to part with Kuminga, Moses Moody, and Buddy Hield in a deal unless they were parting with one of the team's three foundational pieces, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, or Draymond Green. Sabonis is currently out after suffering a partial meniscus tear in his left knee, but has been a consistent double-double machine when healthy for many years. Despite Sacramento's weak supporting cast, Sabonis was averaging 17.2 points and 12.3 rebounds per game prior to going down. He would be an easy offensive fit with the Warriors, but has always been a liability defensively, which would makes it pretty difficult for the Warriors to justify taking on his salary in a deal that also gutted the team's wing depth. Why Stephen Curry's brother Seth isn't playing for Warriors with new update. While it wasn't considered a blockbuster signing by many, it was undoubtedly worth reporting that the Golden State Warriors agreed to a training camp deal with Stephen Curry's brother, Seth, on October 1st. However, less than 21 days later, the Warriors announced that they had waived the former Philadelphia 76ers sharpshooter. Interestingly, though, the Warriors were expected to re-sign Curry during the start of the 2025-26 season to help bolster their perimeter shooting. It hasn't happened yet, though, confusing fans who hoped that the brother of the best shooter of all time would be on the Dubs' active roster by now. On Friday, The Athletic's Danny Leroux put all speculation to rest by breaking down the Duke product's current situation. The Warriors signed Al Horford using the taxpayer MLE, which hard-capped them at the second apron for the 2025-26 season, Leroux wrote. After coming to terms with Jonathan Kuminga following a protracted negotiation, the team did not have enough breathing room under the hard cap after Kuminga and their other transactions to sign Seth Curry to a minimum contract for the full season. Since minimum contracts prorate over the season as teams play games, they needed to wait until at least November 11th to legally sign him, but have waited longer to avoid what the Dallas Mavericks went through a season ago, as each day gives them more breathing room they may eventually need to use. In a nutshell, the Warriors want to ensure they take their time with Curry full-time to avoid a disaster. Considering Horford and Kuminga were priority signings during the offseason, the 35-year-old man was bound to be the odd man out when the regular season commenced. When Golden State does ink a standard deal with Curry, they'll be in good shape from a long-range shooting standpoint, as the Charlotte, North Carolina native is a career 43.3% three-point sniper. Expect the Dubs to bring Curry on board in the foreseeable future. Why Warriors' reported lack of interest in three-time All-Star center makes sense. The Golden State Warriors have several needs, and of them is an upgrade at center. Despite that, sources told Clutch Point's Brett Siegel that the Warriors don't have interest in Sacramento Kings center Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis is averaging 17.2 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 3.7 assists, good numbers, to be sure. But there are a few reasons he shouldn't be their trade target. Strengths don't outweigh weaknesses enough. Sabonis' weaknesses were described well by Siegel. Our NBA most improved player at the quarter mark. Many teams around the NBA aren't looking for the type of player Sabonis is, as his lack of athleticism and ability to consistently stretch the floor as a shooting option limits his potential in another organization's system. To be fair to Sabonis, he finishes pretty well despite his lack of athleticism, and he provides more passing upside than most big men. But he's not the type of finisher that, say, Ivica Zubac is. And though Sabonis is a great rebounder, he's not much of a rim protector. He doesn't have great size, 6 feet 10 inches, or great defensive instincts. Sabonis also isn't much of a perimeter shooter, as he's shooting just 34.4% from three for his career. That alone isn't necessarily a deal-breaker, but if the Warriors are going to make a trade that makes their offense even more cramped, they'd want that player to be a dominant paint scorer and defender, and Sabonis simply is not. He's too expensive. Sabonis is making $42.3 million this season, $45.5 million next season, and $48.6 million the year after that. If the Warriors want to keep Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green and trade for Sabonis, they'd have to trade Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody and more to make the money work. Without Moody, Golden State would be lacking in 3-and-D wings. It's not worth making a trade that helps fix one weakness and creates a new one. Perhaps the Warriors would entertain the possibility of trading Green if the season goes even more sideways, but one would think they'd target a better defensive player in a deal for their best frontcourt defender. Need to aim higher with their most valuable trade chip. The Warriors have to get the Kuminga trade right. This is their last realistic chance to acquire an impact player in the Curry era. Siegel wrote that the Warriors have great interest in Trey Murphy III and Herb Jones. If they could acquire either in a Kuminga trade while keeping Moody, they would upgrade their wing situation. If the Warriors want to go the center route, Zubac is much cheaper, better at scoring in the paint and better at defense than Sabonis.